We are a US-based headquartered company, about $28 billion global revenues. And one of the, I guess, the different characteristics of 3M is that despite the fact that we are a US-based company, about 65% of our revenues come from outside the US. So we are truly a global company in that context. And oftentimes 3M is sort of associated with innovation. Now I'll talk a little bit about 3M in India. We started operations about 23 years ago, and I was actually employee number one. The difference is I had a lot more hair at that time, a lot more black hair. That was the big difference between then and now. But I've just come back after just about 2 years ago, and our headquarters are in Bangalore. We have about 2,000 employees in India. We've got 5 manufacturing plants in India. One in Electronic City, one in Pondicherry, one in Pimpri, one in Ranjangaon, and one in Ahmedabad. We have a large research and development center in Bangalore that we've just opened, and a smaller technical center here in Delhi. We operate in a very diverse sort of set of businesses. We are in healthcare, we are in automotive, we are in infrastructure, we are in power, water, Post-its, Scotch-Guard, Scotch-Brite, Scotch-Tape, all that kind of stuff. So we're a pretty diversified company. And I think one of the comments that Enrico just alluded to in terms of the statistics of investments in R&D, 3M is actually globally one of the largest investors in investments that we make in R&D. We spend about 5.5% of revenues on R&D, which for an industrial company outside of the pharma space is pretty significant, especially when you look at a $28 billion company spending 5.5 to 6% of revenues on research and development. However, having said that, I think this often assumed correlation between R&D and innovation is not always the best metric to gauge innovation. It's not just about throwing more money at it. In fact, one of the things that we in 3M define the difference between research and innovation. Research is converting money into knowledge. Innovation is converting knowledge into money. So that's how we kind of differentiate between research and innovation. So it's not just about throwing more money at it, though we have to spend a fair amount on that. So in the context of, and the theme really is about innovation in India, so I'll kind of stick to the topic at hand. Again, one of the big differences between some of the companies that Enrico just referenced, GE or Cisco or my colleagues from IBM, etc. Our approach to innovation is very country specific. We don't have this concept of global centers of innovation or global centers of technology. Ours are very country specific. So we will have a Japan for Japan, a China for China, Korea for Korea, and in this case an India for India. Our is very, very country specific in terms of addressing local market needs, both in terms of performance characteristics as well as price points. And I think one of the things that we do in 3M India, and one of the key, and I'll come to some of the attributes of what makes 3M kind of an innovation engine, as we are often referred to. In the Indian context, we all hear about this sort of jugaad phenomena that everybody kind of is now touting ourselves and patting ourselves on the back on in terms of what a great job we do in this sort of frugal innovation kind of concept. The difference between how I look at it from a 3M point of view, we've almost kind of institutionalized innovation. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, how do you institutionalize innovation? But I think the key really is in being able to do it on an ongoing basis, not these one-off eureka moments. You're not looking for this light bulb, eureka moment and sort of riding that wave. It's really about being able to do it, replicating it, doing it on a sustained basis, doing it on an ongoing basis. So how does 3M measure innovation? The metric that we use for innovation is what we call the New Product Vitality Index, is the metric that we use. And 3M's, what that means is that our corporate objective is 40% of global revenues must come out of new products introduced in the last 5 years. So we kind of obsolete ourselves pretty regularly. And that's the one metric that we use, is that how do we phase ourselves out and reinvent ourselves and reinvigorate ourselves. So that's the one metric. And in India, we're running at about 30% new product vitality index. So the products that we sell today, in 5 years' time, 30% of those products won't exist. We kind of phase ourselves out. So that's kind of our single metric for how we measure innovation. And of course, patents, and we have a lot of intellectual property. 3M is very big on IP, which is one of our sort of lifebloods is IP. So I'd just like to spend, I don't know how much time, I've got a few more minutes, so I won't belabor it, I'll keep it kind of, open it out for questions later on. I just kind of talk through 4 or 5 attributes that drive this kind of innovation in 3M and in 3M India specifically. I think the real starting point in our context is really this real, what we call sort of commitment from the top. I think one of the real requirements for driving innovation is this ability to sustain committing from the executive management down in good times, in bad times. Even in the tough years, we haven't cut back on our commitment to R&D and investing in technology. That's one of our core foundations, is this sustained commitment. It's not just this one-off thing and then suddenly you run into a tough weather and you sort of go into your shell and you tighten your belt and then you say, okay, we'll revisit this in 3 years' time when the environment gets better. So that's one of our key attributes, is that stick-to-itiveness, for lack of a better word. I guess that's a play on our sticky adhesive stuff. But that's the ability to sort of stick with it through good times and bad. Is one of the key attributes that we look at in that. Secondly, is I think one of the big things which we do, and which I think is one of the challenges we face in India, is this tolerance for failure. I think culturally we as a people are not very attuned to that level of tolerance for failure and mistakes. Is not something which is in our DNA in general. And I think that's a very, very key attribute for innovation. The willingness to make mistakes, to learn from mistakes. A lot of our key innovations came out of failed products. You fail 5 times, and the 6th time, those 5 failures contribute to the 6th success. So I think in India, that's one of the big points that I make about, is this tolerance for failure as a key attribute for driving innovation. We actually, in fact, reward, it's almost like a badge of honor. In our case, nobody in 3M ever got fired for trying something and it not working. The third attribute that we have is a sharing of knowledge, a seamless sharing of knowledge, which again, as the old saying goes, you put 2 Indians in a room, you get 3 opinions, and Delhi's probably no better place to talk about that comment. But having said that, I think this seamless sharing of knowledge is another key attribute which drives innovation at 3M. Technologies, IPs don't belong to any divisions, they don't belong to any individuals, they belong to the corporation. They are corporate resources available to any division at no cost. And so there's a real pride in sharing knowledge. We put a lot of emphasis on rewards and recognition. One of the things 3M is known for is what we call our dual ladder system, where you can rise through the ranks in the technology domain without moving into general management. Get the same promotions, get the same salaries, get the same titles. If you don't have a desire to move into general management, you can rise in the technical ladder without migrating into general management. That's another key attribute that allows people to stay on in areas that encourage that they like, and still get the same job grades, same promotions, same salaries as the people in general management. That's another key attribute of our sort of rewards and recognition model. We also have this very well-known model that 3M kind of invented. Now a lot of companies do it, is what we call our 15% free time model, which allows people to sort of work on their personal pet projects outside of their day jobs, using corporate resources to follow their pet ideas or follow their pet dreams. And a lot of cool innovation in 3M has come through that 15% free time rule that we talk about. The other one is really, we are a very metrics-driven company. So it's not like, sometimes when I give these kind of talks, people think that we are some, one of those, I shouldn't be making names because I'm sure there are representatives of those kinds of companies where people have, basketball courts and walk-in shirts and t-shirts and shorts into the offices, It's not quite like that. We are still a very Midwest, culturally, People who get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. It's a different kind of a Midwest Minnesotan culture. So we have a very good, strong focus on metrics in terms of, one of the metrics that I alluded to earlier was this new product innovation metric, which all of us are measured by and all of us are rewarded by. It's on everybody's report card. My comp, my benefits, my promotions are measured. That's a key metric that me and everybody on my team is measured.